Hi artists, today we're going to do some doodles. We're going to use shapes and lines to create an interesting composition. So I wanted to talk to you guys about composition. That is the way that you arrange your elements on your paper. So in this case, our art elements are shapes and the lines. And we want to arrange them in a way that makes an interesting composition, that creates balance of color, creates some movement. It just looks interesting. So you can see here that that is what's happening here. This is interesting to look at. It's balanced and interesting. This one, pretty good. We used black shapes here, different colors that repeat the lines. So we're going to be focusing on creating a composition that is interesting. I really like this one, how the student outlined, they started I think with the blue here and outlined their shapes until it got to a second shape. Then they changed color and continued to outline the shapes. Then they changed to a third color. But then the artist decided they needed to pull some of this blue back up here instead of continuing with the red to balance out that blue. So this is a very good composition because you've got your colors very well balanced and your shapes create a nice triangle here to look at. So that's what we're going to be working on. And I want you, as you're outlining your shapes, go slow, take your time, make your lines straight and neat. You could use whatever you like, crayons, markers, colored pencils. You can cut out shapes like this one here from a piece of paper. You could use even a picture from a magazine or a book. You could use painted papers to cut your shapes out. But I want you to pick 3 different shapes. Okay, make 3 different shapes. You can just draw them onto your paper. And then we're going to outline. So there's different ways to go about this. This one here, you can see the artist, well, I don't know which shape they started outlining first, but whatever shape they started outlining first, I think they did it in 3s. So they outlined it 3 times. Then they went to the next shape, outlined it 3 times, went to the next shape, outlined it 3 times. And then they repeated. So then the next shape they outlined 3 times, and then this one 3 times. So when it touched, they stopped. So there was no overlapping here. And it really created some interesting designs because they went in that pattern of 3, moved to another shape, pattern of 3, moved to another shape. So it creates this interesting thing where it hits the shape, it stops. So that's one option for you. I really like that. I believe this one was, they just outlined one shape until it hit another shape, and then they outlined that shape. And then they kept doing that until it hit another shape and outlined that shape. So this one, they didn't outline each individual shape. They just started with one shape and just continued that outline until it hit other shapes. And that's interesting too. If you do that though, think about those colors and how you can change colors so they balance one another out. And then, let's see, this one I think was done differently, where it looks like maybe they started with this rectangle shape and outlined it until it hit another shape. Then they changed colors and outlined that shape until it touched another shape. And then they outlined that shape. So this one I don't think has as good a balance of colors, but it's still interesting because there's good movement here. I love the curve and how even this green curve line pulls your eye back this way. So it really creates this nice circle movement. And again, the shapes are arranged in a way that your eye looks at a diagonal, kind of these diagonal like triangle pattern. All right, so you're just going to start with a piece of paper, and I'm just going to draw my shapes on. I'm going to use crayons, And I kind of like the 3 colors. I think it, again, makes for a nice composition. So I'm going to use 3 different colors. I'm just going to draw my shapes. Maybe I'll do a square here, or more of a rectangle with purple and color it in. And I'm just going nice and slow and neat. You can use, like I said, markers, colored pencils. You can cut your shapes out. And then maybe over here, I'm thinking about composition, so I don't want anything right in the middle. Maybe do that rule of thirds. I'll do a circle over here. And maybe all my shapes are a little bit different sized. So again, that creates a little bit more interest, not having everything the same size. And then a triangle, and maybe off to the side a little, but he's going to be pointing maybe towards that rectangle, again, to kind of direct your eye. All right. Now I can start outlining, and I probably don't want to outline my shapes with the same color I colored them in, or maybe I just want to outline everything with black. That would be interesting too. You guys can play around with it. You can doodle with it. Pick more than one piece to do. I like playing with this. It's just a great way for us as artists to discover new things, new compositions, new ways that the art elements can be used to create interest. So I'm just outlining very slowly. I kind of like that idea of just doing 3, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. So I'm going to do this one 3 times also, and I'm just outlining each shape neatly and going slow. And maybe the next one I will outline all in one color. Pick my shapes to be colorful, and then maybe just use black. I think that might be interesting. So I hope you guys have fun creating these. I just call them little practice doodles because this is a great way for us as artists to practice our skills, to think about art elements and design in a new way where we're not being pressured to, create something that maybe looks realistic. So to me, this is just kind of a fun way to make art without any pressure. All right, have a great week, artists, and enjoy making your shape and line design.